Feeling friends is this concept that I came up with laying in bed one night. I have all these close friends who have these wonderful stories that can help change the world, life experiences that can help other people believe in themselves, hold tight to their dreams and make their dreams reality. On Feeling Friends, we talk about God, we talk about love, relationships. I have celebrity friends, I have non-celebrity friends. I have church members, family members. But when you watch and listen to Feeling Friends, you will learn and you will laugh. It's a community of friends helping to build each other up. So tune in to Feeling Friends every Sunday on WHCR 90.3 FM, or you can catch me on YouTube at Feeling Friends Radio. All right, I'll see you there. WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil, and I'm back in the studio, in my home studio in Harlem. And I'm live, and I'm so happy. One of my good friends from a long time. She's my former coworker. We used to laugh and talk every day at work, and now she's an author, and she's always been a great author, and she has 2 great books. Her name is Cherise Pierce, by the way. Inside the Blindside. You guys got to get this book. Let me tell you, if you want to get in a relationship. My mama told me to stop booking my eyes like this, so I got to stop doing that. If you guys want to get in a relationship and you want relationship advice from a woman who knows what's going on, this is the book. Also, Rival Truce by Cherise Pierce. This is a new novel that she has. So, no more, without further ado, let's bring in my friend Cherise Pierce. Welcome to Feeling Friends, finally.
Finally.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on, Cherise. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and jump right into, let the people know who you are, okay? And if I jump out of the studios, I'm doing some things in the background, so just keep talking, all right? So let people know who you are.
Okay. So, first of all, hello. My name is Cherise Pierce. I am a mentor, a mother, sister, author, online columnist. I have a podcast. I've been working in the nonprofit sector for over 13 years. I've headed up departments over men and women, single men and single women. At one point, it was over about 300 men I was over until COVID hit. And so with all the health regulations, we had to downsize. So now it's about 189 to about 100 men. I have 2 sons, 2 adult sons.
Absolutely.
That I'm so proud of, especially after trying to do this thing the right way.
Absolutely.
So,
and you did it the right way. You've done it the right way. You've done an amazing job. Both of your sons are, one is a college graduate and one is on the way, right?
Yeah, he's going for his master's. The young one, he's going for his master's now.
Look at that. Look at God. And we're going to talk about that.
You said it. Look at God.
Look at God. Listen, we know how good God is. And that's one of the things that I liked about that job where we worked, where you still work and make a difference. And congratulations. I didn't know you were over the minute. That's good. That's huge.
Woo! Yeah, that's huge.
We'll talk about that later. But that whole life was a position to set people up for greatness. And it just is indicative of who you are and trying to help people and trying to put people on the right path. And that's what you've done with these books and exposing the truth and putting people on the right path. So we appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Let's start off with your life, because I was reading in a book about your family life. And I want to start off with that. I want to tell your story, but I said, I never knew that all these years with your mother. So tell us, let's start off with your life, because that was a big inspiration for you, right? And how you've moved into the trajectory where you are now.
Yeah. So basically, primarily I've done a lot of single parenting. Even when I was married, I still carried that role of a single parent, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, he was in the picture, but he was doing his thing. He was in the entertainment world. So our worlds kind of collided. So I'm more down to earth. I need to see what's in front of me. I don't want to be wishful thinking. So my mother was my best friend, like a sister. And I lost her. She was in a car accident. And so my oldest son was fairly young at the time. So she didn't die from sickness. She didn't die. This was an accident that took a healthy person's life. Right. So that rocked my world. You're talking about Inside the Blindside. I really got blindsided. Yeah. So, yeah.
I can imagine. And you dealt with that grief. And I know a lot of people, especially during the holidays, that lose family members. What advice do you have for people that are going through that right now? That might be going through a rough time.
Well, what I could honestly say is take one day at a time. Take one day at a time. Don't try to jump into it. Take that moment, even if you need to get somewhere and just cry. Yeah. Get it out. Because if you don't, you will find yourself lashing out on the innocent. And the innocent don't have any idea what you're going through. Right. So I just say take one day at a time, one task at a time. If you don't feel like putting up a Christmas tree, don't put up a Christmas tree. Yeah. Don't fake it. Because if you fake, you're just pushing it off. But don't dwell in it either. Don't sit in sorrow. But you cry it out, you talk it out, you walk it out, and it gets a little bit easier as you go along.
Absolutely. And I know, and it's tough because, I'm really close to my mother and I'm an only child. So I can imagine, that's just, I don't even want to think about anything like that, but yeah. Thank God your sons have you and you're doing an amazing job. What is it like raising two boys? What is that like? Well, we know you got the hands too, so we ain't got no.
You really want to know the truth? Raising sons, really digging deep into it. Raising sons, they keep you on track. Yeah. I'm telling you, because they looking at you. They looking at what's your next move. Right. And it's just like, okay, you're gonna preach to us, but you're not following what you're preaching. So it was almost like they were my mentor because I had to stay on the right track because I knew what I wanted out of them. Right. I knew what I wanted out of them. And I think what a lot of women fail to do, whether they're single, whether they're married, if they're married, that man is good. He's a good father. Let him sow seeds into that child. Right. Don't stop him from teaching this child how to be a man. Because a woman can't teach a child how to be a man.
Okay. That's impossible.
She can't. But what she
unless she was once a man and turned into a woman. But other than that, you can't. That's new parenting. That's a whole new thing. We're not talking about that. But that's a whole nother, but you cannot. I think Dave Chappelle said that. He was like, I once knew your mother and she was a good man in that last comedy episode that he did.
Yeah. I can only imagine those kind of conversations. Right. Wow.
Right. But you can't. You have to let them sow seeds, let them be a man. And if it's, you can, of course, have an opinion, right? As a woman, you can have an opinion of what.
Yeah, you can be like, let's talk about this. Sometimes men be hitting the kid in the chest. Come on, man up. I'm like, whoa, bro, you're gonna have a heart attack at 8.
Absolutely. You know what's so funny is my best friend told me she has a baby, and they say, don't let him. He needs to cry. He needs to grow up and be a man. Well, a lot of men, we're gonna get into this later, have issues, emotional issues, because as a child, let a child be a child. It is a baby. There are 8 years old. An 8-year-old is not a man. Don't give an 8-year-old man responsibilities. Let him be a child. Let him get everything out. Let him be emotionally developed.
Yes.
Right. And I think that is an issue in relationships, and we're going to talk about that. Let's put a pin in that. We're getting ahead of the game. Let's talk about why you decided to be an author. What made you want to be an author?
Well, you know what? It stemmed from something as a child. My mother was a teacher, okay? So she'd give me all her little leftover, like back in the day, it was called carbon paper. Like you put a piece of paper, yeah. So she'd give me that, and I'd have stuffed animals as my students all lined up, and I would do math problems and things like that. But then I was like, that's more of a school thing. But then I love telling like stories. So I would cut cardboard construction paper, that colored construction paper, and put like 3 hole punches in it, tie it up with little ribbons, and make that the binder of the book. Yeah. And I would have newspaper clippings that I made my own stories out of. And somebody said, well, it has to go deeper. And I said, you know what? There was a scripture that I learned when I was a child, Mark 16:15. Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. I thought it was for my little stuffed animals, my little creatures. I didn't know growing up it was going to be human,
right. Right. Absolutely.
Walking the earth here.
Right. Right. Creatures, people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it just stuck with me. It stuck with me.
Before we get into Inside the Blindside, because that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to make this the main focus of the conversation. What made you get into this novel thing? When I got this, I'm like, Cherise wrote a whole novel. Like it's more like a Stephen King book. Y'all gotta get this. It's like a whole. It's like Rival Truce is about two foster sisters who radically opposite brought into a home that was filled with mass deception, ultimate betrayal, and devastation. Where did you get this idea from? Where did this come from?
You know, because it's fiction, I'm gonna go back just a little bit. I remember you asking me, man, you wrote these books and they're two different, they're opposite.
Totally opposite. Yeah, totally opposite.
And honestly, Rival Truce was the first book that was supposed to come out 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I lost it off the computer. It caught a virus. I had to retype all of that over again. And my best friend, she actually kind of helped me type because she had retired. And I was like, Lord, thank you, Jesus, because I don't know if I could have really sat down and did that. But Rival Truce was a novel, was a story that just came to me. And as I was writing it, it got juicier and juicier. And I was like, this sounds like a movie. So that's why it's so thick. Because I wanted to put so much detail that when you're reading that book, I want you in the room with them sisters. I want you in a room where they going at it. I want you in the house where all mayhem is breaking out. And that's why it's so thick like that.
That's thick. That's really good. So you guys make sure you get Rival Truce. And where can they get this book from?
They can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, my website, Cherise P. Pierce.
Cherise
Books.
P. Pierce. Okay.
.com.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and jump into Inside the Blindside.
You like that
one? I love it. Let me tell you something. I was telling my mom about this book. I think everybody who is thinking about a relationship, who wants to be in a relationship, and a lot of people are just stuck on stupid, they need to get this book. Tell us why you wrote this book. And is it a personal story? Did you learn everything that you wrote here? Is it from personal experiences? So now Inside the Blindside, it is an empowerment, motivational, and I kind of wrote it for women, but then I was like, dang, men get a bad rap a lot. You know, they get the short end of the stick a lot. So as I was writing, I had some encounters too, because I talk about my sons, and I don't know how deep you got in, but I would talk about my sons, how raising them in certain situations, and me, dating and stupid stuff I was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, till I found myself the strength that I needed to get out of a crazy relationship is I went back and read my book, and I was like, okay, now you need to practice what you preach. And I'm telling you, it worked. I was so happy. I was like, I wrote that. Okay, I wrote that. You did. Let's start off with this quote that you have. You have a lot of chapters in here for people who are watching right now. You start off with year in clearance sale, baggage claim, crossing the color lines, beauty sleep, hold the dessert. We know what that means. Hold them cookies. TTO. Let's start off with this. You wrote as a mental note, you said, learn to love yourself unconditionally. Accept your strengths, your weaknesses, smooth out your flaws, and clean up your negative thinking. If you're walking around camouflaging the bad inside, how do you expect for someone to recognize the good? What did you mean about that? And why is it so hard for people to actually love themselves? And I think that's so important for you to love yourself first before you even love somebody else, right? Why is that so hard for people?
Because Phil, think about it. Everybody is different. Everybody is coming from all walks of life. Love to one person can mean something totally different from the other person.
Right.
It's so many components in that. How was a person raised? What did a person see? How did somebody show that person love as a child? Like the novel says in the beginning for the subtitle, what a young child remember yet defies to forget. See, when you coming up on a female and you trying to talk to her, you don't know what she been through in her childhood.
Right.
Just like this female talking to a dude, you don't know what has happened in his childhood.
Right.
So if you can't get all that together, you taking that baggage to one relationship, to another relationship, to another, and you just camouflaging all that, the makeup, the weed, all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
stuff, right. And it's about, so what do you suggest? People go to therapy, releasing that? How would you, do you practice on other people? Because you have to date, right? You have to, people, sick people, just do what they're going to do, right? And that without getting healed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what do you suggest we do?
So to circle back, and you said, well, why is it, there, how can they, get love or find love? You really have to understand how you love, or that person, how you want to be loved, how you desire to be loved, and where you getting your picture of love. I remember speaking with a young lady, and the guy hit her. And she told me, she said, well, when he hits me, I feel loved. And I was like, wow. And I said, really? And she said, yes. And then I said, well, where did that come from? She said, well, when I was a little girl, when I got hit, the next thing someone told me was, now I love you, right?
Right.
So she has taken that, she has not broken that cycle. And that's what people do. They take it from one stage to the next without ever getting it addressed or counseling. I don't know why African American people act like they can't sit on the couch and talk to somebody. White folks doing it, why they can't do it?
Well, the thing about it is that my feedback? The thing about it is that we say, keep whatever happens at so and so on Main Street stays here. And what do I need to talk to somebody else for? We can talk to Jesus. Well, it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist. We can do that, right? That's why he put him here for us to talk to him and get the help that we need. We have to get rid of that part of our lives, right? Don't you think? Black people, Black community especially.
And it's a train. You gotta. It's something you won't get overnight. Who's in their circle? Who's positive in their circle?
Right.
I mean, if you don't have anything positive around you and it's all negative, how do you expect to pull the positive? Where are you going to get it from? Sometimes you got to change up your circles.
Right. You really do. And it's important. And it's important for you to realize, and people know negative, like people know, okay, this is bad. I need to go do something else. And it's important for you to take ownership of that and get the help you need. Why do you think, this is one of the questions I ask you, why do you think people continually get in bad? Let me just say this. Have you ever had a conversation with a friend? It's like every time I talk to you in a bad relationship, why is it? What is that the pathology of people getting in the same bad relationship over and over and over again? You got this one person hit you, get another relationship hit you. Why is it that people don't ever change
that cycle?
That cycle. What do you think about that?
Keep trying to. Well, you got to look at their pickers. What's attracting them to this type of behavior? Okay. Was their father like that? Was there a family member like that? Was there an uncle like that? Was there your best friend's father like that? Where did they see that to pick up? Because when a good guy comes along,
right,
they can't handle it because they've never been treated.
Right. Especially you California women. Y'all love a thug. That's why I got the brace for you today. Y'all love a California women they love the thugs. What is going on? You love the in and out of jail, the FBI breaking down your house. Like, don't you want some peace? That's pathology, right?
Yeah, don't you want some peace? Because let me tell you, peace is priceless.
It is priceless. And sometimes you can do bad all by yourself, in your house by yourself, right?
Okay.
Right. You really can. let's go. I have I have these things. You guys really have to get this book. It's called, I'm talking to Cherise Pierce, if you just tuning in, Inside the Blindside, from our radio listeners who can't see us right now. You said, now men, please forgive me, but I didn't do a poll or send out a survey to see how you tick when it comes to money or making smart investments. I will go with my own take on this matter for men that I've dated or that I've casually spoken to about the subject. Here goes. No man in or out of his right mind wants to be broke. That's the truth. However, on the other hand, no woman wants a broke man. That's a fact. Some women have earmarked the motto, no romance without finance. So who are we dealing with when we talk about no romance with finance? And why are women putting money as a qualifier for a relationship? Take all the time you need.
Think about society. Think about movie videos. Think about music videos. Think about shows. Think about music. When you hear a lot of this, you hear the perfect this man, he's doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And they get engulfed in, wow, that's the kind of man I want. That's the kind of man I want. But what are you doing to get that kind of man? Because you're sitting back going off the bare minimum, but you want somebody making 6 and 7 figures. Right. Your dialogue won't even keep up with him.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a two-way street.
So how do we evaluate the mindset to change young Black women? Because now, like you said, TikTok, everything else is money, 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 the money. You want a man with all of this, but you ain't even got the bare minimum. You barely got a high school diploma. You barely got this and that. So you want somebody on Wall Street, but you can't even get on Main Street. I think I'm preaching to the choir today. Isn't that right?
Yes.
How do we? What is the deal with that? How do we get the mindset to change, especially with young women?
Well, that's my thing with these young men, these young women. I really try to grab a hold of them because they're so influential. They see so much, they hear so much, they see their friends. They're afraid to step and be individual. They want to be part of a clique. They're afraid to walk alone. As far as when I say walk alone, be your own best friend.
Own best friend, right.
You see what I'm saying? Learn to like who you are.
And
learn to love who you are.
Whitney Houston said it. She said it best. I was about to start singing. Learning to love yourself. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. If you can walk by yourself, go out to eat by yourself, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm good where I am, and I don't need anybody else. That's really a powerful thing.
Yeah.
It's really a powerful thing.
It really is. And you have to get into practice. If 2020 did not teach you how to be okay alone or by yourself, and I'm not saying that it's healthy to a degree where you're just shutting the world out. I'm not saying that. But be okay with you. That way, when you do meet that someone and he does come in the picture and it don't work out, you're not falling all apart because you know who you are.
You know who you are. And it's okay. Guess what? This is an experience. So when I get to the next relationship, I'll be able to deal with it, right? On a whole different level.
Yeah.
Let's go to some audience questions because I had some friends send some questions in. This is a great conversation. For those radio people who are listening, we're talking to Cherise Pierce, author of Rival Truce and Inside the Blindside. I put this on the air, so you guys make sure you go get it. We have a question. I'm in an abusive relationship, but I am fearful to leave. What should I do? I'm in an abusive relationship. What should I do?
Wow. That's pretty good. Okay.
If she's scared to leave, what should she do?
Ooh. Okay. The easiest way for me to respond is I could say, why don't you leave? That's the easiest way, right? No, why don't you leave? No. However, it would be the worst thing to tell somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say, why don't you leave? When you hear that type of advice, maybe coming from friends or family, trust me, it is coming from a place, but and they have your best interest at heart, but they don't know what you're going through. So they don't know what happens behind that door.
Yeah.
And even though you might be telling a little bit, I'm sure you're not telling everything. And if you're not telling everything, you're probably not saying anything. So you're just bottling all that up inside. So a simple line to say, why don't you just leave, is easy. Someone has to say, okay, this is something that you're going to have to take a stand on. So let's take, why don't you leave off the table? Let's just take it off the table. Okay. So there are so many dynamics here. Okay. There are so many dynamics. And we just don't really have enough time to kind of break it all apart.
Right.
However, what I can share is to take ownership of your part, which you played. Take ownership. Not beat yourself about, oh my God, I should have left a long time ago. Don't do that. Just take ownership. Like things you've seen in the beginning that were little red flags that you bypassed.
Like he punched you when you were walking down the hallway or something like that. But you should have been like, okay, that's a sign.
That's a sign. But at that point, it's the honeymoon stage. Everybody all goo goo gaga, they gotta,
let's be real. It's not the honeymoon stage. He punched you. He did this. That is a sign. You have to. That's a blind. Is that a blind side?
That's a blind side.
Like, bruh, like, sis, what are you doing? It's time to go. You show me who you are, and I believe you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what she needs to do is go back to the beginning to see when it started. Just now that oh my goodness, now I see. It's okay. It's okay. You still got enough gas in you. You can keep pushing.
Right. Keep pushing.
So was he pushing you? Was it a little snub, or was he, that chokehold, like, girl, where you going? We call those love taps. I don't believe in them love taps because taps, they grow bigger, So don't hit me. Just tell me, talk to me. We good. You don't have to do any love taps.
Right.
So go back and revisit how many times you allowed him to come back and get away with it. Because I'm sure if you're in a situation like this, you may have tried to wean yourself off of it, but then he kind of came back and you were like, okay, maybe he's changed. Maybe he learned his lesson. So count all that up.
And it's okay to forgive people. It's okay, but if they continue it, it's okay to forgive people. But
it's okay to forgive.
Don't be stupid.
My thing is forgetting. I can't forget.
Yeah, but the Lord wants us to forgive and forget.
He does, but it's a work in progress.
Right. Yeah, it is. And he is the Lord. So
he is the Lord. As long as you got him in the center, you will make it. You will be able to forgive and forget.
Yeah, but keep going. Yeah, let me cut you off with that. But go ahead.
So I wanted to also say that she has to identify because she's asking the question, that means she is trying to tap into it, trying to reach out. So what makes this time different than any other time? She needs to identify with that. She has to do a lot of soul searching, because you notice I have not mentioned what he did. I did not ask, okay, well, what is he doing that you're, no. You got to work on yourself. You got to ask, what part did I play? What part did I play?
Now I have to play devil's advocate here, because some people will say, what the hell is she talking about? They need to get up and leave. Why would she let that woman stay in a bad situation like that? And that's what they're gonna say.
But that's too easy, because it's easy to tell her to get up and leave. She can't get up and leave. She's too attached. She has to detach herself first.
Ooh,
that's a work in progress.
That's a good
She
point.
has to support herself around. She also must come up with a plan. That's an action plan.
Because a lot of people don't have 6 months of saving and this and that, and I can just pick up and leave when I want to. People don't really think like that.
They don't.
And they're so codependent on another person. And because if you really wanted to leave, you would have left.
Right.
If you had the means, that's just me talking. I don't know, but I'm a whole different person. That's just that.
but I said it has many dynamics that we don't know about. It could be kids involved. Yeah. He could have probably saved her, as far as she could have been homeless and he took her in. It could be she could feel obligated.
Yeah.
That's why it has to be with her. She has to really identify with a whole lot of things. And once she's identified it,
Yeah.
she can come to where this is unacceptable.
Mhm.
This is unacceptable. Enough is enough.
Right.
This is unacceptable.
Exactly.
So now that she came to that conclusion, because you can tell her to leave all day long, and she's not going to leave until she's ready.
Mhm.
Until she's ready. And then because there's so much that goes on behind closed doors, he could be mentally brainwashing her.
Absolutely.
You know, you could say something over and over and over and over and over and over again till you start to believe it.
Mhm.
You know, you can be like, my eyes are light brown, and knowing they ain't light brown. But
Right.
you keep saying it, then it starts to look like, okay, my eyes are kind of light brown. No, they're not.
Right.
They the same color you want when they were black. You got black eyeballs.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's go to another. Let's go. Thank you for that. Let's go to another question from an audience member. It says, my boyfriend of 6 years cheated on me and had a baby. The child is now 2, and he would like for me to be a part of the child's life. Got the S on there. I get triggered when I see the child, but I love him. What should I do?
She loved him or she loved the child?
She loves him, the man. She gets triggered when she sees the child. What do you think about this with this situation?
Honestly, I can chop and dice this up so fine, but again, we just don't have, that kind of time.
Yeah.
We really don't. And this segment could go on, but again, she has to see what role she has played. In other words, taking ownership of, because no one's perfect in a relationship. She's not going to be perfect and he's not going to be perfect.
Right.
Okay. So it goes back, take ownership. Again, the easy thing we could tell her, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? She can't, because she's made some things relatively clear. She's been with this gentleman for 6 years. He cheated,
right?
And a 2-year-old is born into that.
And more than likely, he cheated more than once if he had a child on you. So let's go.
And guess what? She stayed.
She stayed. That's the choice. I'm going to step on you and I'm going to use you like a rug or a toilet seat, and you will continue to let me do it.
And the thing, Phil, honestly, and we can't knock her for staying. We don't know why she stayed. But again, that's something she has to identify from early on. I can tell you this. It didn't take 6 years for him to pop that rabbit out of his hat, because he felt she didn't leave before when she caught me doing A, B, and C.
Absolutely.
So guess what? He's comfortable enough to go do that, and you're still going to be there. And guess what? If you're asking this question, that means you're still there.
And he's sloppy. That's crazy. Let me just, this is a random question. Now that we're on this, what do you think about open relationships?
When you say open relationships, like
you can date other people, you can sleep with other people, but as long as you don't bring anything back to me.
You know what, Phil? I say to each his own.
Okay.
But that will come back at you, because women aren't built like men. Okay. Men, they can roll through about 3 or 4 or 5 women and not get caught up. Women are emotional. We are nurturers. We freaking have kids. We push that through. So you sticking and moving, that's not, I'm not saying it's right for a man or a woman, but for you both to consent to that, you're just giving a lot of your inner spirit that you could use for someone who really wants you to be more than what you're settling for.
Absolutely.
That's just my point of view.
That's so true. That's so true. You say in the book, ladies, I'm all about exposing your blind side, whether it works in your favor or not. However, I can't stress enough how there are men who are at a point in their lives that know and appreciate a rare and magnificent find. Also, there are some that don't because they're not at their place yet in life. It's okay.
And it's okay. And so when I say it's okay, I'm like, girls grow up to be women. and they get this fairy tale, this Cinderella syndrome. Like, oh, I got to find my Prince Charming. And they put everything according to a clock, you know, a biological clock. Well, I got to have this. I got to.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the thing about that is, what are we actually out here doing? Because a man is not going to obligate or settle down with you until he's ready. It is nothing you can do. I've raised two young men. I talk to.
And we're going to do what we want to do.
You're going to do what you want to do. And to me, you know, I give props to the man, because if he's getting all of these goods and he letting you know that I'm going to do what I want to do.
Absolutely.
And you're still there. You just gave him the green light. You gave him that hall pass.
Yeah.
When you start making demands, you need to demand more from yourself.
That's good. That's good. I like that. You can put that in the next book. This has been a great conversation. I want to end on this. You say, try not going into a situation where there's already set limitations. It stunts your growth and slowly contaminates any future possibilities you may have for you or your children. It's like putting a cap on how far you can go in life in your immediate situation. You don't want anyone telling you how far you can go. You want to be able to make that call yourself. Don't give your right away. That's a powerful statement. That's good, Cherise.
Yeah.
That's good. Don't give your right away. Don't give that.
Don't give that right away. You only got one life to live.
One life.
Okay? Just one. You don't get no do-overs. That's it.
That's it.
And according to how you're spending that time in your life, if a man says, you know what, I don't want any kids. I don't want any kids. And you know you got 2 kids in the background. You know, but he's fine. He's talking the way you need him to talk. You're going to convert him into wanting kids or accepting your kids. No, you're not. That's why he told you up front. So now you're putting a cap on it because you're refusing to listen to what he's telling you because you think you got the power to change his mind. And he's going to stick around as long as you allow him to stick around and get whatever it is he's trying to get. But at the end of the day, he's going to move on to somebody else because he already told you he didn't want kids.
There you go. There you go. What final thoughts do you have for our audience and our listeners today?
I would like to say it is never too late to wake up. It is never too late to say, I think I want to do something different to get different results. I also want to say, once you're true to yourself and own up, I love that word, ownership. It's like transparency. God talks about that in the Bible, being transparent. You have to be real with yourself because you would never fully be happy if you're putting on these airs, these facades, you're trying to be somebody you're not. And when this guy figure out you're not who you say, he's gonna split. But if you get somebody knowing you is 100 and you know all about what's happening with you and what you want, that's going to be something that's successful. And that's going to be something that lasts because there was no front and he accepted you for who you were.
Absolutely. And that goes for men and women. Cherise, thank you so much for coming on there. Cherise Pierce, great show. Inside the Blindside. You can catch it on Amazon and Rival Truce. Thank you so much, friend. I'm going to put you in the waiting room. Just hold tight for me, all right? Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Phil.
We finally did it.
We did it.
Hold tight for me, okay?
Okay.
Listen, you guys go out and get Rival Truce and Inside the Blindside with my friend Cherise Pierce. What a great show today. Listen, believe in yourself. Believe that you have choices and don't give your right away. Don't give anything away that you don't want to give away. Believe in God, trust in God, and listen to me. I'll be back here on YouTube. You can check me out Sunday on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. All right, y'all. See you later. Peace.